The Charge to 100 storyline continues with Mighty Morphin Issue 20, and this issue was quite the interesting read because it kind of brings the current storyline to an end with the Rangers trying to find the brand new command center and the King Aradon invading Earth. Those plot lines kind of wrap up, but the King Aradon stuff is kind of left up in the air if he's going to come back or not. But like I said, when I looked at my sort of preview pages for Mighty Morphin Issue 20, King Aradon was the tip of the iceberg to show how powerful the machine race is, because after Mighty Morphin Season 3 / the Alien Rangers was the Machine Empire, so it kind of teases the more powerful threat coming later down the line, because if you remember, even Lord Zed was scared of the Machine Empire, so King Aradon was only a small ounce of what the machine race can do. And this issue was also a great Rocky issue, because Rocky gets a lot of character development in this one issue, where Rocky feels like he's not confident enough to carry the team, or he feels like he's useless because he's no Jason, he's no Tommy. I mean, he had doubts about himself being a Red Ranger, which they sort of talked about back in Ryan Parrott's run near the end of Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, and Rocky gets big character development where he stands up to King Aradon, donning the infamous means bad, doesn't it? Well, the famous Dragon Shield and Dragon Dagger, where Rocky wears it for the first time, much like how Jason wore it back in the day. And to see Rocky hold his own against King Aradon, even though he's getting stomped by this guy, is a cool Rocky moment, because Rocky, against all odds, even though he might die, he's got people he wants to protect. He's got people he cares about, and Rocky is willing to make this last stand to keep his friends and family safe. And that's what I love about Rocky in the Power Ranger comics. And even though there's a sense of relief and safety as King Aradon leaves the Earth, the Rangers are hit with hard news where we learn about the passing of Jason's mother that we learnt back in Power Rangers issue 19. And that's going to carry over into Power Rangers issue 20 next week. So we've got this story arc sort of interconnecting, kind of like what we had with the Eltarian War. And I do wonder where the characters are going to go moving forward, because due to some of the plot synopsises and press releases, it seems like the Rangers are going to be hit pretty hard with this news and are going to struggle with what to do next. So the issue opens up with the party going on in the Lion Galaxy, where Alpha is distracting the King while he tells him probably a bunch of stories and stuff like that with Tommy. So while this is going on, this is able to help Kimberly and Adam sneak into their outpost and get the blueprints for the brand new command center they can have back on Earth. And I gotta say, I love seeing Alpha in the top hat with the mustache and the monocle. It looks amazing. I mean, Alpha, we need a lightning collection of this Alpha design or something. Someone's probably going to tailor-make clothes for Alpha that they released a while back, and they're going to do this to him. And if they do, that's going to be amazing. So, the whole premise of Alpha sort of having this disguise and distracting the King is sort of teaching Tommy a lesson, where Tommy kind of doubted Alpha's idea to have costumes and disguises and stuff like that. But Alpha says, don't worry about it, we're all doing our part. And after that, it cuts back to the Battle of Earth, where Rocky and Matt are trying to fight off King Aradon and his forces, and things aren't looking good for him, because King Aradon, he's a tank, he's a force to be reckoned with, where he's able to push back Rocky and Matt, and they're forced to retreat. After that, we then have Adam and Kimberly's Mission Impossible mission to break into the place and get the blueprints for the command center they need. And who do they run into this place? Well, none other than everyone's favorite Ninja Steel character, Redbot. No, I'm only kidding, it's Mechanic. I think we kind of all saw it coming. Or maybe some of us didn't see it coming, but I kind of saw it coming. But we see Mick in here, he makes his little cameo appearance. It's pretty cool, I'm glad we got to see Mick in this issue. I knew he would probably show up if we were going to the Lion Galaxy, but I'm glad he actually did make his cameo in this issue. So we finally got our Mechanic cameo that everyone wanted. But one interesting thing is the back and forth that Adam and Kimberly have, and the conversation kind of ends with, doesn't Kimberly want to move on to something else? And the whole premise of that conversation, sort of reading it, is Kimberly kind of does move on from being a ranger later down the line, and Catherine takes her place. So I do wonder if these conversations that we've been having with our rangers, where would this be something else you want to do? Are you going to retire from being a ranger? It's kind of foreshadowing for them stepping down from their ranger duties and moving on. And a lot of people have predicted that Charge to 100 is going to sort of transition into the Zeo stuff. We don't know yet, we don't know for sure, but either way, it's an interesting back and forth that our characters have. After that, we then cut back to Earth, where Rocky and Matt are forced to retreat after Matt takes a devastating blow trying to protect Rocky from one of King Aradon's attacks. And while they're retreating and sort of recovering, Matt is kind of banged up. His helmet's cracked, he's not looking so good. And Rocky kind of has a bit of a mental breakdown where he thinks he's not good enough. He doesn't think he's cut out to be a ranger. He says that he's no Jason or Tommy, and he has no idea what he's doing. And Matt gives this big speech by saying, you're kind of the rock of this team, because in the past few days, you've been able to sort of fight off an alien invasion, protect your family, and no one else could do that. So he gives this big speech how Rocky is resilient to sort of doing all these tasks under pressure. And Gat gives Rocky the confidence to keep fighting. And Matt gives Rocky the Dragon Dagger and the Dragon Shield so he can go into battle and face off against King Aradon. And although Rocky's not strong enough to fight off King Aradon where he gets his ass kicked, it's still a really cool moment to see Rocky take the Dragon Shield and take the Dragon Dagger and fight off this big threat. And although this could have been Rocky's last stand and he could have died here, he was willing to fight until the very end. And I love that about Rocky in the comics, where he's going to fight to the very end to protect the people he cares about. So while Rocky is fighting off King Aradon and it feels like this is the end for Rocky, he's saved at the last minute by his friends as the brand new command center, which is the power chamber we see in Power Rangers Zeo to Power Rangers Turbo, comes down, and you have this awesome page of the Thunderzords just roaring as it comes down. And Rocky stands up to King Aradon and basically tells him to get lost. And although that's kind of corny where Rocky says, get off my planet, and they kind of leave, it does show that King Aradon might come back later down the line. But again, like I've said several times, this was a really cool Rocky moment in the comic, and to see everyone teleport down, and you see Rocky in the Dragon Shield holding his power sword, telling King Aradon to piss off, is kind of a cool moment. So Rocky has this warm embrace with his family where he thanks them for being brave, and his sister thanks him for being brave, and Rocky's like, I don't know what you're talking about, where his family has kind of caught on that, well, his older siblings have probably caught on that Rocky is the Red Ranger, and that's kind of interesting going forward. So, although there's a moment of victory where they've chased off King Aradon and they've got their brand new power chamber, Kimberly then gets the call from Jason's dad, where we find out that Jason's mum has passed away, and that leads in to Power Rangers issue 19 we got last month. And moving forward, next week will be the funeral for Jason's mum. So I do wonder what's going to happen moving forward with these characters as they all come together. So yeah, that was Mighty Morphin issue 20, and kind of the first story arc that Matt Groom did with the Mighty Morphin comic. And I gotta say, I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed this arc that Matt Groom did. He made a good first strong impression, and I can't wait to see what he's going to do next with these characters. I mean, we've got Power Rangers issue 20 next week, so we've got kind of a downer situation with what just happened to Jason, but what's going to happen next with where these characters and where they're going to go, I'm really looking forward to see what Matt Groom is going to do next with these characters. I mean, he introduced King Aradon, and we've still got Zed looming out there, which they kind of teased on the final page, where Zordon said we'll worry about Zed later. So, I can't wait to see what Matt is going to do with this comic moving forward. But what did you guys think of Mighty Morphin Issue 20? Tell me in the comment section down below. I'd love to hear your thoughts and opinions. With that said, I'm bringing this video to a close. If you enjoyed this video, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you're new, and don't forget to turn on notifications. I hope you guys have a wonderful day or night, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace out, take care, bye.